Hi, guys. Welcome to the Soul on Fire show. I am so excited for today because one, today is Wednesday and we get to teach. But two, our guest today has already made me smile backstage and I couldn't stop laughing. So we are going to have such a fun, beautiful hour here on the Soul on Fire show. We merge science and spirituality and we get you to the highest version of yourself. We set your soul on fire and ignite the passion within. Hi, guys. I am Noelle Agape and I'm a leading expert in health, wellness, and consciousness. Thank you for being here on our show. Thank you for everybody on the live, and thank you so much for everybody on the replay. I am so excited about today's show. I can't even tell you, literally the last 5 minutes I've just been cracking up laughing. So we're going to have fun. We're going to play. We're going to go deep into spirituality and talk about emotions. We're going to, that's my favorite pocket, is talking about the emotional body. And so today we have Keyen Lage, and I think I said his last name right. I hope I did. And he is an ex-professional football player. He is a model. He is a coach, and he is truly, truly a life genie and transforms lives before you even know it. I'm going to bring him on right now. I'm going to read a little bit about his bio because I want you to know who he is, but I'm going to bring him on right away. Usually I do a segment first, but I want you guys to have so much time with this man because he's going to bring so much joy to your soul. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about him, and then I'm going to bring him on. So Keyen Lage is such an amazing man, and he is a former NFL athlete turned emotional intelligence coach for world-class leaders. After almost becoming paralyzed during a football injury in the National Football League, Keyen was able to start his new journey by looking from life at a completely different perspective. He dove headfirst into understanding what it actually means to live in fulfillment while achieving success along the way. Oh my gosh. I'm going to bring him on, guys, and let you get a taste of what I just had for the last 5 minutes because he's going to make you smile. Hi, Keyen. How are you?
Hey, Noelle, I'm fantastic.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
fantastic.
So I just love who you are, and I love all that you are. You are such an incredible human. And I've never even met you before. And actually, the place that I thought I met you was not even the place that we met, but we had this instant connection and it was beautiful. So tell us a little bit about you. You were an ex-NFL player, you're a model, you're a coach. You were a finance major, as I just found out. And so you kind of like have done it all. But tell us a little bit about you and your journey.
Thank you for the incredible intro, by the way.
You're
I
welcome.
had to say that, and I got to say that the yoga retreat that you put on, I was just like enamored by that. I was just like following it. All of a sudden, it cut off, and you popped up, and it just thought it was so cool. So I want to say that
Well, you
as
need to
well.
come.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing. Uh, but for me, as you sort of mentioned, I've been able to dabble in a lot of different things in my life, and that's what I say is sort of my life path and progression is constantly moving towards what I feel inspired to do. And for a good chunk of my life, I would say my first life, I'd say I'd probably live about 3 lives in this
I think
lifetime
maybe
so
like
far.
100.
Yeah, right.
Seriously.
But the first one was football dedicated. Since I was 10 years old, I said I wanted to go to the NFL. I was a kid from a small town from South Dakota, so we don't receive a lot of love normally for athletics. So it was a stretch, but I was able to get all the way there. And then when I got there, I ended up having uh, my career taken from me just as quick as it was given. So I
Wow.
never actually got to play a game. But luckily, in a precautionary MRI on the physical that I had to get before I could sign with Kansas City, they found a neck condition that I had that I was aware of, but kind of just like said, "Oh no, I want to play. I want to get there," and ignored it. And luckily,
Mm.
they found it, and they said that I was at a risk factor of 3.5 out of 4 to get paralyzed if I would have played. So that
Wow.
was it. And from there, as I sort of said earlier, my process has always been just going from one inspiration to another. I can't say that I quit my 9 to 5 or that I was in a job that I didn't really like and then started on this path of following what I desired. Like that's kind of what I've always done. Right? And I don't think I could have really done anything else. So when football got done, I thought about being a financial analyst because that what I said I wanted to do if football didn't work. I really didn't know though; it just sounded good and I liked money. Yeah, yeah, I did. I liked money, so I was like, yeah, maybe I can get into that. But that was long story short. I said not to get into that and get into a job as a personal trainer. I'm like, okay,
Mm.
this sounds inspiring. This sounds fun. I know the physical body really well, So let me show other people how to be able to do it. And then from there, I had to leave South Dakota, move to Miami, and did some fun things during that time. And that time was a really explorative time for me, breaking out of the identity of being an athlete, moving to Miami in a completely different space from South Dakota, as
Mm.
you know if you've been to Miami.
Yes.
Yeah,
Quite a few times.
all right.
It's
So
just a party, literally.
yeah, it's a huge party, and it was a great space for me to be able to explore and try different things and figure out really what I wanted to be and who I wanted to be separate from football. And so from there, as I was a trainer there, I decided I want to go deeper within myself for learning about internal health. So as I was really, really stacked physically, internally, I had some things going on that I needed to resolve.
Beautiful.
And so I went down that path of learning how to create an internally healthy environment for myself, not just externally. So, long story short, I created a program for myself for all my internal digestive based issues and began working with autoimmune based clients as well with the same
Wow.
protocol. Quit my job as a personal trainer and went all in on that online. I then moved to
Is there anything that
Colombia.
you're not successful at, by the way? Just
Well, if I put my mind to it and I really want to, I find a way
yeah.
to be good at it. And if I don't, then I probably won't get that good. But when I really am like inspired to go into something, I go all the way in, and I
Amazing.
get the resources. I pay for the coaches. I do what I need to do to be able to get good at it. So I went all in on that. And after a while being in that, I got myself to a really healthy place. And I'm like, well, this doesn't sound very inspiring to help other people with anymore. And I'd just been getting into a lot deeper emotional space with myself. And after spending time in that, I was like, okay, this seems to be the secret sauce right here. Right? A lot of people have internal issues, but don't seem to be the root, right? It's not just by itself, it comes from somewhere. And so I'm like, okay, I want to go in on these emotional based blockages that people have. And then I shifted into that about 2.5 years ago. And since then, I've lived in a few different countries, I've traveled around the world and taken some time off from coaching, doing some modeling, and done a lot of different things.
Yeah, you're really ugly,
So
by the way. You shouldn't model. Sorry,
thank
you're
you.
gorgeous inside and out. So. And so
Thank
tell
you.
us about the journey that going from finally getting to your dream and then literally like it crumbling right before your eyes.
Mm. Extremely emotional. When I got the news, it was like a truck hit me, and I was in disbelief because I had just like texted all my friends, I posted on social media, and contacted my trainers and my family and everything. So there's all this hype surrounding it too, and then I got the call after I got sent back to my hotel room, what the results were of the MRI. And it was actually kind of confusing to me because the general manager of the team called me. And normally it's just like some no name from the team that calls and says, "Hey, dude, you didn't pass your physical. Like you can't play." But the GM called me, and on that call, he offered me a job as a scout on the team. He's like, "I know the
Wow.
kind of player you are. I know the kind of person you are, and I know it
The whole
didn't
Jerry
work out."
Maguire thing, right?
Yeah, I didn't know what to think because I was like, in one hand, I got told I never play again, but another offered a job in an NFL team, and so I was like, kind of an emotional message. Like, I don't expect you to answer right now, but at the least, put my number in your phone, and if you ever need me or you're interested, go in and
Mhm.
contact me. So I cried really hard. I went and got a bite to eat. I got a burger and fries, and so that was really awesome because I hadn't really allowed myself just to like relax into just getting that type of meal. And
Wow.
I felt the emotion flowing through me, but there was also this slight sense of relief that was present. And that's the part that I really like to go into and talk about was that relief
Sure.
because of the amount of pressure that I'd put in myself to operate at this capacity. And then realizing when it was gone, how much there actually was. So that was the interesting part is that, yes, there was a huge emotional expression because of the shock. But then after that was released, there was actually a little bit of comfort and calmness that emerged from it and relief.
Wow, wow. And so do you feel, I mean, now you truly are living, you're such the divine masculine, and I want to honor you that just by everything that you post, everything that you do comes from a place of emotional intelligence, right? So let's talk about that and understanding the journey and the spiritual journey that you went on from that space, because I always say through your pain is your purpose, right? And so I believe that we go through hardships in life to get us to our soul's purpose. Let's talk a little bit about that and how
Mm.
it got you to be doing what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. What is like, oh, I agree 100%. Like, what is like the main question with that you want to start with?
So the spiritual journey that, like, most when they're in that painful place, and you said the release, let's talk about that and how now you're living your true purpose and you're living from your soul, and you truly are. You travel the world. You are living the life that you want to be living. And I believe that we're always protected, right? Something happens in life and we're protected. And one was that for you not being able to play football, do you feel that you were being protected? And two, stepping into your soul's purpose and understanding that. Do you feel like that's the space for you right now? Do you feel like you're living your soul's purpose?
Yeah, absolutely. And to answer your question about do I feel like I was protected in that space, 100%.
Hmm.
And the really weird part about, and I say weird because it was extremely weird how it played out, how they ended up finding out that I had this issue, was it wasn't just my neck I got a precautionary MRI on, there was also my hamstring. And so when I went to get in the MRI machine, I got my hamstring done and then went to do my neck, and I was completely submerged in the MRI machine, and it was actually a really small machine, or I was just huge at the time. I was a big, I was much bigger
Yeah.
than I am now. Uh,
Wow.
and I was completely submerged in it, and I started getting claustrophobic, and I actually had to pull myself out. So I was like, I don't know if I could do this. And she's like, okay, well, let me call the team to see if it's really important, because the hamstring was a more apparent issue. My neck was more like lingering stuff that I
Mhm.
could have dealt with. I never missed substantial time because of it. So she called the team, and the team said it's actually okay that he doesn't do it. He doesn't need to. We really wanted the hamstring. If he can't do it, that's okay. And I looked at her. I said, no, 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 no. I can do this. Let me do this.
So
So
good.
she said, "You don't have to." And I was like, "No, no, no. I want to do this. Let me do this." And so I got myself hyped up, got a glass of water, and then jumped in the machine and was drenched in sweat afterward. But I lasted the whole time.
True athlete
And
right there.
right, that was it. Yeah. And then I got after that got told because of the results that I couldn't play again. So I definitely feel like there was something there that was like pushing me to get that thing done, because it was time for me to be done. 100%.
Wow. And so let's talk about the emotional intelligence piece behind all of it, right? And so when you're now, you call yourself the genie, which I absolutely love, right? And so you transform lives through this process, right? You coming out and you transforming lives through, your pain, which is pretty fantastic. And so, that's a very high emotional intelligence to say, oh wow, I wasn't successful in this space because of an injury, and this now I get to change lives from it. And so let's talk about you in the transformational space and how you transform lives in that space.
Yeah, 100%. And what I'd like to get into is a little bit the time between when I got told that information and where I feel like I'm at now, right? And that time, that a good solid like 2 years of permission that I gave myself to be extremely undefined, right? I
Mm.
had things that I was inspired to do. I was inspired to go deeper into personal training. I was actually a stripper for 3 months, so that was fun,
That's amazing.
right?
Did
So
you
I
know?
did that.
I just the more I'm learning about you, it's like the more that like you're just this charismatic being. I love it, and you just don't care. You're just like I am who I am, and that's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, right, and so I did that for a few months, and, I just dabbled in a bunch of things that who I was back in South Dakota and the football player probably wouldn't have done. And so the
Wow.
permission that I gave myself to be undefined, the permission I gave myself to be messy in that space and just try a bunch of stuff and just do a bunch of things, I would really say is a big one of the main reasons how I'm able to be in the space that I'm at now with success in my business and the success in my relationships and the richness of my relationships, is because of the space that I give myself still to be a beginner, to still be new to things, and to be open to just trying things without being attached to being one operating system. So that's one big thing that a lot of, let's say, athletes or people that were very successful and then that gets taken from them, whatever it was, being a beginner again, right? Being someone that's kind of at the bottom of the totem pole again and restarting and just giving yourself permission to really be that beginner and just be new, be fresh, and being able to redefine yourself without borders is probably one of the most powerful things that I've been able to do and tap into.
So beautiful. That is so beautiful. And I always say that even in, it doesn't matter how much experience you are, you're always the student and the teacher in one breath. And when you can embody that, that's really the highest level of consciousness, because you can teach what you've mastered, but you're still always learning and growing there. Let's talk about the divine feminine and the divine masculine energies, because I know that this is your pocket, right? And so let's talk about how you come out into the world as the divine masculine and the wounded masculines that are so prevalent in this today's society, right? And let's talk about that space and how to be a thought leader and being in the divine masculine and the divine feminine energies for people.
It's an incredible topic, and to me, it's relatively complex because there is definitions that people have of those two things, but there's layers to it too. And it's tough for me to answer about what I think it is or how it operates. I believe there's a huge imbalance in our society as far as men and women embodying more of the opposite of what we're created to operate in as our predominant frequency.
Yeah. And we all have the masculine
right.
and feminine energies within inside of us, right? And so it's understanding and balancing those, but you live in such a space that you just embody the divine masculine and the divine feminine, because your heart is so open as well. So you do embody both of them. And so when you teach that to someone, what's the approach that you use?
The foundational approach that I feel like I use is really being able to go deep into what somebody's currently experiencing themselves as. And I always start from there because, especially in today's world with personal development and with so much knowledge and information accessible to us, telling us what we should be like and how we should be, especially with divine masculine and feminine, right? Guys hear what it is to be divine, a king, women hear what it is to be divine feminine. And it becomes more about trying to be that thing rather than actually being able to embody it from the core out instead of outside in. So when we get so
smile, seriously,
right, so
I could listen to you all day.
Oh, I'm glad. And
your voice is so soothing. So I hope the viewers feel it as well. But so it's about embodying this emotion from inside of you and understanding that the societal norms are breaking the paradigms of that, is what I heard, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that's where it's really interesting as I get to each individual person and I get to the core of what they're really experiencing themselves as, through being able to navigate some of that emerges their natural essence. So without saying, hey, this is what you need to start to do to embody the masculine, healthy masculine. Hey, this is what you need to start to do to embody the healthy feminine. I'm sort of operating in that place, right? I don't know if I can necessarily identify it because I think it's relatively different for every person, but they learn through actually just experiencing me in my space. And then through me being able to operate in that place, they're unconsciously being taught while unraveling the things that are preventing them from naturally embodying it in the first place. Beautiful. So there's two sides to the coin, right? And that's the power of, I think, being a really powerful coach is when you embody some of these things, you actually don't have to consciously teach what it is that they should be embodying because they experience it through the energetic exchange.
So let's talk about that. And no, I think you're frozen. So let's talk about the energetic exchange, and hopefully you can still hear me. I know that you're in Brazil, so I don't know if you have amazing internet connection. But so the energetic, there we are. So let's talk about the energetic exchange and how we're all energy and in the quantum world, and understanding that, the embodiment of the higher version of ourselves every day. And I know that you make a conscious choice to do that often, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, but I hesitate there because a lot of it's actually going in and breaking down what we think is our healthy purpose and what isn't. And a lot of people that aren't living in, let's just say, their purpose, and I say their purpose because I don't believe in one finite
Mm.
thing that we're here to do. I believe we're always evolving, and and our purpose always evolves through us embodying our heart's desire.
I love that. I love that. And so,
Yeah.
you truly just, I mean, you're so, I love your free spirit that you're just embodying all of life's experiences. And so let's talk about life's experiences and experiencing life on a daily basis, because that's really, I run adventure therapy retreats around the world. And for me, it's like I'm a bougie badass, right? So I'm gonna have the nails in 1 minute, and the next minute I'm jumping off a cliff in Bali, and the next minute I'm meditating, right? And so
Mhm.
how do you embody life in your experience? Because I know that you've lived all over the world, but like, how else do you embody your life?
Seasonal inspiration. It's seasonal inspiration and being able to tune into what I desire for myself in each season as that season
Mm.
emerges. And that's where I say, like, that time in Miami that I spent, and even now, it's like just doing stupid shit like that wouldn't be considered productive or wouldn't be considered maybe what the majority would perceive as being purpose based, because I think there's like this spiritual connotation of purpose, that and there's actions that we categorize as being spiritual or purposeful, that actually, like, purpose isn't always this like like this what we perceive as extra spiritual in the perceived sense,
Mm.
right? And
Can
so
you expand on that? Because it's such a deep philosophy and I love it. Can you just expand on that a little bit more?
yeah, and that's where, like I talk about the like seasons that I spend of like just permission that I give myself to do things that I feel inspired to do that aren't necessarily productive or purpose based. Uh, actually, I think can be as powerful and can be explained as a purpose or a passion than doing something that most would perceive as being a purpose or passion. And this is why: time spent outside of what we would consider our purpose or passion actually creates space to be able to have that clarity to emerge for greater purpose to come through. And so if we're constantly just like always in this place of purpose driven, purpose driven, purpose driven, I'm purpose driven all the time, it actually can get hazy. And that fuel eventually runs out if you don't give yourself space and time to listen to the change in the seasons, when there is motivation and inspiration to not be in that, right? And I see very like purpose driven and passion driven leaders that never really allow themselves to play in the space of not being purpose driven and actually use it as a form of uh, not having to go and address some deeper rooted stuff. So they'll go from maybe some kind of a addiction to one place to the addiction to purpose. And
Agree.
I don't think life's meant to always be in that space. Life's meant to be in the gray space as well, when we're not following that purpose and passion. So I think there's this beautiful balance between uh, you know, nothing really matters, and there's this incredible spiritual journey that we're on. I think merging those two things, the human element, the physical element of being here in this space, and then having there be the extra spiritual, and merging those two, I think is really where it's at.
And I love that so much. Merging the two worlds is truly what I teach. And I really have found a way, and I was a therapist before I did all of this stuff. And finally I got punched in the face and a desk thrown at me because I worked in the schools with emotionally disturbed children. And I just said, I want to do wellness, right? And so I found a space of a very serious topic of the quantum fields to play and have fun. And the more that I do that, like it was really, my journey was really hard because it was like, no, you have to do this. And I did everything right. And I did everything everybody told me to do. And then I was just like, I'm just going to be me. Screw this. Like, and I'm just going to be, goofball. I'm going to be a badass and I'm going to have fun. And literally my show blew up, my brand blew up. But as soon as I was like authentic to me, and I was like, I love to travel. I love to jump off cliffs. I love to be goofy. I'm a goofball, and I'm sorry for whoever's going to marry me, but that's, it's, but I love that you said that, because it's the space that we're in. I feel like you either have to be a woo-woo, like totally woo-woo, or completely scientific, and they're battling each other. But really, the two worlds are just be you and find the authenticity within yourself, right?
Absolutely. And it can be easier said than done. Right. The first part is being able to actually just tune in to that voice
Yeah.
that is communicating with you. But then is to actually do it. So there's layers to that, to the process of being able to fully live that out, that I think is where most people get tripped up.
I agree. I agree. And I think it's such, like I say, it's like peeling away an onion, right? It's even if an emotion comes up and then you think that you've embodied it and you've moved past it, oftentimes it comes up again later on to teach you a deeper lesson, right? We're going to go deep into
Absolutely.
that and in your emotional intelligence. When we come back, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And I just love this conversation. I love you. I love who you are. You just embody so much. Like, you bring this whole hour. We're already 26 minutes in, and you've brought me so much joy. So thank you for being here. We will be right back, guys. Stay tuned. Hi, guys. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being on the Soul on Fire show today. I'm so excited because we have such a beautiful show. We have former NFL player Keyen Lage. How do you say your last name again?
Loggy.
Lage. I said it wrong twice. And he used to be a model, and now you're a performance coach. And thank you for being here. You've given us so much wisdom on emotional intelligence and the embodiment of actually being you and being authentic. And so let's talk about your internal guidance system and how that guides you to where you need to go through your journey of trauma, through your perseverance of overcoming everything you've overcome. You've had this internal guidance system that was guiding you. So let's talk about that and your connection and how you truly embrace life, because it's such a beautiful gift that you have.
Well, thank you
You're
for
welcome.
those words. That feels really good to receive. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And I wish I could say that, like, I've seen my angels, and I had this like really deep connection with experiencing the divine. But I can't really say that, and it's interesting for me because I've somehow been able to tap into that inspiration and follow this laid out path that, looking back, is like, oh my gosh, it makes perfect sense.
Hmm.
So my experience hasn't been what I would say like as mystical as maybe other people's has been, but I'm really tuned into the voice of inspiration, and that's why I always talk
Hmm.
about heart desires. I always talk about heart desires, desires of the heart. I believe that I'm spoken to through those, and
Hmm.
so it doesn't feel as mystical of an experience for me. I think I'm much more maybe of like an earth based grounded based uh, speaker for maybe the outside spiritual side, right? And and that's where the beauty is. I've been able to really tap into my heart desires and my inspiration, and have the capacity to follow through with them. And sometimes the voice is louder than others, as far as what it is that inspiration is. But I believe that I'm communicated to through my inspiration in different seasons of life.
Mm. Wow. You are such grounded energy. It's beautiful. I mean, I'm like a fairy. I'm all over the place, but your energy, it really is beautiful. And so let's talk about that, living from your heart space, because that is when I teach, right? It's that little whisper inside of you that's like, no, 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 hey, go this way. No, 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 go this way, right? And it's this beautiful guidance that shows us to our soul. And when we're living from our soul, it is so obvious. It's such a deep connection to not just this human embodiment, but also for me, it's a spiritual embodiment, but to nature, to earth, to being here. It's such a beautiful gift, right?
Absolutely, incredibly beautiful. And it can be, it can get a little, at times, um, can feel like a little pressure when you do actually begin to start to tap into that voice, right? Because
Mm.
it's like I said earlier, it's one thing to be able to be aware of that voice, and then it's another to then start to consistently follow through with it. Because when it starts to get loud, it starts to get loud, and as you begin to follow it, it gets louder and louder, right? And so it's like, oh shit, I gotta do this. Like I gotta do this, and it's almost like you mentioned the onions example earlier, but there's just layers to it. The deeper you go in, the more challenging, but also rewarding and fun I feel like life gets.
Oh, 100%. I feel like when I'm in play mode, it's when I am just in flow. Like things come to me when I'm like playing, when I'm having fun, when I'm on, and there's days where I have like 18-hour work days, and I'm like, wait, what happened? And then there's days where I'm like working in Mexico or Bali or whatever it is, and I'm like, wait, what happened, right? And so I feel like when you're living from your soul, it just comes out and it comes through us, right? I feel like we're a vessel and it comes through us out into life. So let's talk about let's fear and your relationship with fear.
Hmm. Fear. Do you have a specific question about it?
Tell me about your relationship with fear. How do you handle fear when it arises in your life?
Yeah, I like to experience it.
Me too.
Like, yeah, I like
Same.
it to be present, and that's one thing that I've gotten really good at, because I kind of like to make some like parallels between pain, being able to handle and manage pain, and fear as well. Right with football, that I mean, I was a beast at being able to manage pain, and I was able to block out all pain, which I actually had to resolve a lot of things associated with that, with as far as like mending a relationship with my body and those kinds of things. But nevertheless, I got really good at being able to handle the tension of pain, and I think fear goes along those same lines, right? Constantly being in positions of leadership, constantly being in positions of a big stage, and then dealing with all the feelings associated with it. I built that muscle up quite a bit, and
Mm.
so I've learned that it's not something to be afraid of. It's not something to have to actually get rid of. But I can be present with fear, and fear can always be around, uh, and I can still follow through and do what I'd like to do. And I think a lot of people, especially with learning about personal development and learning about being able to move past certain fears, they believe that it's like paramount to move the fear away before you can actually step into what you desire. And I don't think it's about that. It's not about pushing it away or trying to get rid of it, but more about like playing with it and being able to kind of almost even dance with it and go
Yes.
through the process of what it feels like to be in a place of fear, right? Like I think of even just like for example, when I was in Spain a few months ago, and we were jumping up this huge cliff, and
I'm gonna join you
there's
next time. I love that.
oh my, in Mallorca is incredible. And I just remember like feeling all of it inside my body, just like,
It's
oh
me.
fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. And I'm just saying that the whole time, like, fuck, 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 oh my gosh.
It's
And
so,
just
it's so
smiling and just right and just being with it, right? And just playing with it and like feeling it through my body and allowing it to be there, and not over identifying with it, but just allowing it to fully be present and playing in that experience with it.
I love
And
that.
I think that's a really, really powerful thing to be able to do, especially when there's a big decision to be made and fears there. There's a lot of even like coaches too that make fear this really like big thing. But I actually like to bring like an element of like playfulness in the middle of processing through
Me
certain
too.
fears. I do it all the time in my coaching. I might like crack a joke when they're like in the middle of like crying or doing something, and it's great, right? So we can start to rewire that association with it, right? We can go in and we can feel all of these deep rooted feelings that are like I said, deep rooted and really deep, and we can begin to actually change the association with it, right? And
Mm.
we can make it more of a fun, playful thing. I can cry my eyes out, and then afterward, I can smile and come out of it, right? And so
Mm.
being able to rewire that association with pain, rewiring that association with fear, is something I feel like I've done a really good job of.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I have the same relationship with fear, right? And it's I think we're a little bit there's something a little bit off in our brains when you use adrenaline instead of like chemically it's the same chemical within your brain as if you use it as adrenaline instead of using it as a
Mm,
debilitator, right? It's a
makes sense.
motivator instead of a
Wow.
debilitator. So but the next time you jump off a cliff in Spain, I'll come. I'll join you for sure.
Perfect. We'll have a great time.
So tell us some stories of the people that you have worked with and how you've changed their lives. And I mean, you've literally, you just bring joy. I'm laughing literally for 35 minutes on the show, and I'm like, literally, I just want to hear more. I'm like sucked in. So tell me about like transformational lives and how you transform lives with people as you go through the journey. And I know that you're doing modeling and coaching, or are you still coaching now, or?
Yeah, so I took a season off of coaching. So two years ago, I said I wanted to take 1 month off back in 2020, and I want to take 2 months off in 2021, which I did, and I modeled during that time, and then now I've stopped it. My agency is trying to keep having me keep going, but I'm like, no, I want to get back into coaching. Like that's where I want to be. I had fun with it, but I don't really want to do it in this season. And so now I've gotten back into coaching, and so now I'm coaching for a specific period of time with a specific amount of people, and I'll see what I do after that container time. But now I'm back in coach mode.
So tell us about some, because I know that you call yourself the genie, and I believe that you really are. Like I truly believe that you just have this inner knowing of like people and how to navigate through their emotions. So tell us about some people that have some key takeaways of clients that have you've changed their lives.
Oh man, that's that's tough to say because each person is so different. I had somebody ask me this. They're like, okay, well, what do you do? And it's funny because a lot of the times people when they say they sign up with me, they're like, I think I know what I'm getting, but I'm not entirely sure. I just know I need to do it. Right? They all, a bunch of people say that afterward, and like afterward, I know exactly why. But there's just this element of faith that and pull that's beautiful to be able to trust in that space and actually kind of have fun with that without
You
like
are magnetic, that's for sure.
you
I mean,
know
there's no question about that.
I kind of have fun with it. But so she gave this example. She's like, okay, well, I go into a grocery store. Like, how do which aisle are you? Like, which aisle what do I get from you? Like, which aisle is the proper aisle that I receive from working with you? And I was like, it's not really like that. It's more of you have this recipe that you need to put together this cake, and you don't really how to put together this cake, or all the different elements of your life, and then you come and you say, oh, okay, well, I need chocolate chips. I'm like, okay, well, here's the chocolate chips. And I'm like, okay, well, I need some Crisco. And I'm like, okay, well, here's some Crisco.
Don't ever use
And
Crisco.
don't use. I'm not endorsing Crisco. That was, I say it because that was what my mom would use when we were really young with cookies.
Yeah. I'm a
Yeah,
health and
not
wellness
endorsing
counselor, so I'm
Crisco
going to
though.
say no to the Crisco.
Yeah, not an endorser of Crisco. Just for the example. Uh, and so it's whatever people need. I'm able to tap in and rewire the programming that's there. It's preventing them from being able to have it. Or this what happens a lot of times too is what people come in with isn't always what they desire as they move through the process, and so that always shifts and changes. And that's why I say the genie because I grant people's wishes. And really, instead of just the surface level wishes, I get to the heart based desires
Hmm.
that we're able to bring into life and fruition. So whatever their desires are at a deep level, when you get past some of the surface, uh, they tend to happen.
Well, I love that. 'Cause my show is called Soul on Fire, right? So that's we want to set your soul on fire and ignite the passion within. So with that being said, what sets your soul on fire, and how do you ignite your passion within?
Ooh. What sets my soul on fire and allows me to ignite my passion from within? Consistently following my excitement.
Mm.
Consistently following my
I
excitement.
seriously love you. Like you're
Yeah.
like me in a man's body.
Yeah, that like that that's it for sure. And when I say that, I'm not saying things are always easy. Like a lot of the times to get to a place of the excitement, there tends to be some challenges and things in the way of being able to get that. But when I say excitement, I what I mean is I mean when I think about doing something, I don't really think about the process of getting to it. I just think about what it makes me feel like when
I think you cut out a little bit. So what I think what I heard you say is that you embody your feelings and you feel your way through life, and I truly do the same. I truly say that you live by your emotions, and your emotions are your guidance system, and feeling your way through life is the best way to experience this life. And you're back, so you can finish now.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. Absolutely. And and really that was the foundation of it, right? Like me following what feels exciting to me. And I want to say this in regard to what you said, because I caught the tail end of it. Because a lot of people might, especially men, I want to say this, like men, for example, like to take a lot of pride in like being very pragmatic and not being emotional with making decisions. You're always using your emotions to make decisions.
Mm.
Even if you think that you're not, even if you think that you're very logical and very pragmatic, you can see things with a clear light. Your emotions are always at play. So that's the power of being able to go in and actually create a healthy relationship with them.
I love that so much. It's and so your emotions, again, are your truly your guidance system. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, nothing is good or bad. It truly is just showing you, and the darkness, I say, always shows you to the light, right? So let's talk about. I'm going to let you go because we go deep on the show. So the hardest emotion that you had to ever face, and the hardest situation that you had to overcome. How did you handle that, and how would you teach people to handle it?
Oh, aloneness,
Mm,
aloneness. Um, yeah, connection has always been something that I've really valued, and I'm really good at being able to have and create connection. And going deeper into my aloneness was, and continually going deeper into my aloneness, uh, has really been the catalyst to me being able to create much more depth in my relationships
mm.
and create the life around me that I really desire for myself. So definitely aloneness.
Wow. And so how did that affect your life, and did you ever go through a dark night of your soul?
Yeah, I think about that. I'm like, I think about that. I'm like, yeah, like there's like,
Somehow even the dark night of your soul, you make me smile. I don't know how you
yeah,
do it, seriously.
yeah, like I yeah, I've had seasons where I've had to go deep into my dark side.
Mm,
Absolutely, I had to mend my relationship with it. I would
and
say I
so
naturally come from a more light-based place, and mending my relationship with my dark side was what I had to do to step into, one, being able to give people a much better service, my coaching, but being able to actually create the sectional reality around me that I want and desire, and to not be filled with resentment. I had
mm,
to develop that darker side, because a lot of people that are in that very light place and never have are able to develop that darker side and play in that dark space. A lot of the foundation of their experiences is resentment,
mm.
because of their inability to be able to speak out and play with that dark side that says, I don't give a fuck what that person thinks. This is what I'm thinking and feeling. And so that leads to a lot of resentment because of the suppression. Right.
Wow.
So for me, playing in that dark space, I've had seasons of that, and it's actually made my light more strong
Mhm.
too.
100%, 100%. And I believe that, it makes you stronger, it makes you smarter, it makes you more in tuned to who you are, and it shows you what you want and what you don't want out of life, right? And how you navigate through the darkness is truly how you're going to navigate through the light, right? And I never want to take it lightly, because I mean I've had quite a few dark nights in my soul, and it there were moments where I was just like, I'm out. Like, this humanness is not for me, right?
Mm.
And let's talk about the depth of when you're in the darkest space and how to get to the light. Give them maybe some key takeaways.
Mm. It's through it. It's through it.
Mm,
It's through it. It's through it. And that's it, it's almost like a science now that I take people through. But how my coaching works, and what I found for myself, the best coaching that I've ever received is space and permission to go deep into the emotion. And through that, it's almost like clockwork. After there's normally it's after the darkest point of night is right before dawn, right? So the
mm,
full submission to the experience of that maybe unpleasant feeling emotion, normally on the other side of you start to come out of it. And the hardest part is getting into a full place of submission to it, right?
I
And so
agree.
the best thing I could say is the permission I've given myself to go deep into emotion that I've had, whether that's sadness, whether that's anger, and allowing myself to just be completely immersed in and lose myself in it,
Mm.
right? Lose myself in it. And through that, actually gaining a better connection with those more unpleasant feelings. Because on the other side, it always seems to turn out and up, right?
Hmm.
So that's it right there, is the capacity to do that.
I love that. I love that you see life through a very beautiful lens. And there's not very many people that I have spoken to, and I've been doing this a long time, that you navigate through the cloud, it seems. And I want to honor you for that, because it's not an easy thing, but you see it from a very, very different lens.
I guess I don't know because I can't live in other people's heads, but maybe.
It's fantastic. It really is. And it like I said, it's magnetic. We're going to take another quick commercial, and then we're going to come back and talk about really understanding that when you are in your power and living in your power and how that looks, because I think that that's really important to understand, is that you do get through the darkness and then you get to live in your power and bring that into the world of service. Right. And so we'll be right back, guys. Stay tuned, and we will have more Keyen for you in just a bit. Hi, guys. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being on the Soul on Fire show. I am so excited for today. We're just going deep into the emotional body and talking about emotional intelligence. We talked about your dark night of your soul and moving through fear, and how it is important to understand that you get through fear and you have to move through it, right? And embrace it. And you use fear as a motivator, not a debilitator. I love that so much. And so, hey, Keyen, let's talk now about from a space of living in purpose, because you truly are you living in your purpose, and you every post that you do, everything that I see, and again, I don't know you at all, but from what I see, you are living from a place of service, right? And so let's talk about that, and let's talk about how when you master something, you bring that back out into the world as your gifts.
Mm. Well, I actually have an interesting perspective surrounding purpose
Of
that I
course you
don't feel
do.
like many that many people have. And I actually like, I mean, if people have watched maybe a couple of other podcast episodes, I actually say fuck purpose. And here's
Mm.
why. Uh, when you make the focus and attention purpose, you can actually disconnect from your deeper sense of desire, because you're more focused on trying to live this idea of what you believe purpose is,
Hmm.
rather than connecting to your deeper sense of inspiration for where you feel like you want to be in that specific season of life. Okay. And so, as a byproduct of me consistently being able to tap into myself and just ask myself, where's my inspiration at? And consistently doing that and flowing from one thing to another, I guess you could say purpose has emerged from that. But I don't like to identify with purpose, because to me, it's just about me consistently following my inspiration and following what feels passionate in that season of life. And that allows me to continue to flow. But if I attach to purpose and say, oh, I'm doing it and living my purpose, well, then I feel like it sort of takes away from my ability to continue to flow and be fluent with changing in inspirations. So to me, purpose is more of a byproduct rather than something that's pursued. And I think right now there's this huge like wave of wanting to live in purpose, but it's like let's that's like this big grandiose big thing that's got all this hype surrounding it. And I think if we can almost like bring it down, just make it about your seasonal inspiration and living
Hmm.
through that, it can take away some of the pressure and also allow for real purpose when you're not actively trying to make it happen to emerge.
I love that so much. And truly, I believe without question that like we're going to help humanity by doing the inner work within ourselves, right? And I don't believe that there's anything external going on that's not going on internally. So collective as a whole, as society, if each of us lived from integrity and authenticity and lived from our soul, like you were saying, then the world would be a better place for sure. Let's talk about change and how you are so adaptable, right? And you've lived all over the world. You truly are just like, this is a season in my life. Let's talk about a change in attachment and how so many are so attached to either an outcome, a circumstance, a situation, or a person, and how to truly detach, because you seem like you have a phenomenal relationship with detachment.
Yes, and there's definitely still parts that I notice of myself where I am attached in some ways, and can get deep into those experiences. But it's that topic's really interesting. It's complex to me. Uh, Attachment. A lot of the times, attachment becomes something that you can't break out of and away from when you're disconnected from your deeper sense of knowing. And attachment
Mm.
actually gets stronger, and that bond gets much stronger the further you go into it. So, for example, let's say that there's somebody that you go on a date with, and you clearly know right away, you're like, okay, there's not a lot of interest here. But you know what? Maybe I can find a way to like him. He really likes me. I'll go on another date with him. Okay, let's do that. And you go on another date, and it's the same thing. There's like, okay, there's nothing here. But you're like, you know what? He's really nice, and he's got these things that I could like about him. So let's try this again. And before you know it, you can get so deep into that experience that you might convince yourself that you're experiencing something that you're not really actually experiencing. And then when the deeper you go into it, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then that attachment gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. Right. So the deeper that we get into not listening to that voice that knows, it makes it harder to detach from something. So that's what I say is like the nature of what causes a lot of deep attachment at more of a surface level. Or we could talk about more the depth of it,
Well,
but just
this show we go
recognizing.
deep, so you could talk about as deep as you want to go.
Okay, we can definitely go there. But I think it's important for people to understand, in that of course there begins to be a confusion of, okay, what do I want and what am I just doing for other people, when you're foregoing what your desire says it wants. And so
Mm.
that's what happens over time when people consistently live in this place of foregoing their own desire for other people's thoughts or opinions that other people say you should do, and always asking other people's advice and doing it for other people. That's where people get so lost and disconnected from their sense of voice, because they're so deep into that attachment of reliance of other people's opinions for them to do anything, that then it's difficult to even move and operate.
Mm. Well, and I say all the time, you're looking for love in all the wrong places, right? And so it's when you're looking at it as an external source and that's when you're attached to something. And detachment is truly just understanding and an inner knowing what's right for you. And so let's talk about situations and circumstances when about other people's energy and how to when they're intrusive, or you're attached, or you're how do you
Mm.
separate from that?
Hmm. How do I separate from that?
I love that you pause and think about it. I love
Yeah.
that
Yeah. How
because
do how
it's
do I
it's such
separate?
thoughtful answers.
Yeah. Well, first it's the identifying and being okay with the feeling of discomfort that always emerges, right? Because as somebody that really values connection like me, I like to try to give people the benefit of the doubt. And historically, I've maybe stayed in relationships longer or spent more time with someone longer than I should have, right? Because of this wanting to see, right, the best in them, and wanting to give it, another chance, or I can handle it, so let me keep going into it. I can handle
Mm.
maybe the things that aren't as desirable. So it's being able to be honest about those initial feelings. And I think that comes up a lot, and people that really value connection at a deep level can get good at ignoring those. And so really just being open to hearing and listening to a voice of, okay, nah, I don't know, I think is like probably one of the first steps And then
I love
the
that so
next
much.
step,
And
go ahead.
trusting your inner, like trusting your soul, right? And just feeling if it feels off, it's off, right? And if it feels right, it's right, not right. And if it feels off, go even deeper and say, why does it feel off? Because is it my ego or is it truly just off, right? Because a lot of the time it will be fear from stopping you from a situation as well, right?
Absolutely. And that's where it's really interesting because and maybe this is relevant, maybe it isn't, but I like to see people starting off in two categories. One category being coming from a side of always being very intimate and caring about other people, tending to put other people first, uh, always wanting to know like other people's thoughts and caring about their opinions and their feelings. And then the other camp is more of like a me camp, where it's like, well, I guess both of them are always me, but the other one is more intentionally this idea of like, okay, I don't really care. I'm going here. This is what I'm doing. This is what I want to do. And so for people that come from this camp of really being connected with other people and wanting that deep intimate connection and really caring and wanting to feel other people's feelings and connect at that deep level, that's why it's really important to be able to uh, maybe learn to favor getting out of the situation
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
learning how to do that, and then being able to then maybe come back to the middle at some point. And the same thing over here with these people that are very detached. They're probably more apt to like get out really quick and say, okay, no, I'm out. And learning to be able to sit in that and really like, okay, let me just like experience this person for a while. Let me get to know them. Then let me see if it's there. Because they're maybe not as intuitive in that sense,
Hmm.
right? Because they're not as in tune with other people's emotions and feelings. So learning how to play in the other space that you're used to doing and then being able to come back to the middle uh, through playing in the other space, right? Same thing with the light and the dark, being able to not just go to the middle of standing up for yourself, but actually going through a full dark season and then coming back to the middle. I think it's important for these two camps of people in regard to this part.
That's such a super conscious answer. Thank you for that. So, how can people find you? You are amazing. Seriously, like
Mm.
thank you for bringing your gifts to the world. You're a beautiful human, and I just had the most fun in this last hour. How can people find you, and what services are you? What do you have? What are you up to now? And what services do you have?
Mm. Thank you for all the love on the show. It's felt incredible to be here to
Yeah,
receive this from you. So
thank
holy
you.
shit. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
So
Thank you.
good.
Yeah. It feels incredible. So thank you. Uh, as far as what I'm up to right now, I'm living here in Brazil. Uh, I just dove back into another round of coaching. I love this place because my whole setup is like perfect for me to be in like a really, really good space. I'm learning this new sport called foot volley, where it's like volleyball. It's 2-on-2, but you can't use your arms or your hands, and it's only your head, your shoulders, your knees, and your feet. It's super difficult, especially for somebody that, like I just ran my head into people for a living and there wasn't a lot of like elegance in that.
Oh my
So
gosh,
this
thank
is
you.
much more like body control and
I
like
love that. We have
right?
about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So do you have a website that
Yeah, it's perfect. So I'm doing that. And my website is keyenlage.com. You can find me on Instagram, keyen.lage, and find me on Facebook, Keyen Lage, and I'm sure you'll put the spelling of those in the show notes.
I will, and thank you for correcting me on your name. I'm so sorry I didn't pronounce it correctly. You are an amazing human. Thank you for bringing your gifts to the world. I know this is the first of our beginning of a connection that is wonderful, and let's go on an adventure together. My God, we'll have a blast. I think we just laughed the entire time. And guys, if you don't know and you haven't connected with him yet, please go and connect with him. He is going to change your life. He really is a genie, and he's masterful. He is incredible. Thank you for being here. We truly, truly, truly appreciate you, and you're amazing.
Thank you, Noelle.
Have a great night. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good.
Wow, what amazing show, guys. This was so beautiful and so powerful. I just laughed for literally an hour. It just went so fast, and I can't believe how many nuggets he dropped in the last hour. Go and find you, guys. And that's the message that I received is go in, let your soul be on fire and ignite the passion within. And I promise, when your soul is on fire and your passion is ignited within, you will live from your soul and you will live in joy. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.